He has revealed that 70% of the country's municipalities in areas with pension fund contributions are in the Free State. It says the problem is widespread, with nearly two-thirds of South Africa's municipalities reportedly in areas as of March this year. The regulatory body has provided an update on withdrawal fees, employer contributions and rule amendments. This follows the implementation of the two-pot retirement system in September. Gabetso Twene, senior analyst for retirement funds at the Fisca, says KwaZulu-Natal has the most municipalities at 28, but the Free State stands out with 22 out of the 24 municipalities failing to meet their obligations.
I suppose that speaks to, the governance issues that we have heard about in the Free State as well. Interestingly, we also have 7 municipalities in Gauteng. Those speak to some distressed municipalities. You also have, perhaps the city of Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Municipality, but that could most likely be referring to historical area contributions.
The accused in the murders of 2 women has broken down in the Polokwane Regional Court in Limpopo. 60-year-old Zakaria Oliver is applying for bail. He is charged alongside Rudolph Divet and William Musora, a Zimbabwean national. The 3 are accused of killing 2 women and dumping their bodies in a pigsty on a farm in Onverwacht outside Polokwane. The magistrate briefly adjourned the court proceedings. Rendani Ralipaso reports.
The accused Oliver broke into tears when the bail hearing started. It's not clear why he started crying. He is applying for bail as he has been in custody since his arrest in August. Magistrate Feleng Tilane had to briefly adjourn the proceedings to allow the accused to recover. Oliver and his 2 co-accused are facing charges of attempted murder, and possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. Daniel Pasha, SABC News, Polokwane.
Disgruntled residents of Orlando in Soweto have accused Eskom officials of not properly communicating with them on the looming deadline for the upgrade of electricity meter boxes. The deadline is Sunday, after which those whose meter boxes have not been upgraded could find themselves in the dark. Elderly residents say they have been in the queue since the early hours of this morning. The registration center is still closed. Some of them say they have chronic illnesses like diabetes and cannot go for long hours without food.
I've been
here since 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking that I'll be able to get help and pay for electricity that I use. However, nothing is happening here, and people have given up and they have left. I'm also thinking of leaving because I've been waiting here since 2 o'clock in the morning, and I can't wait for too long. I have sugar diabetes.
12 people accused of selling expired food and dealing in illicit cigarettes are back in the Moribeng Magistrate Court in Soekmekar, Limpopo. The accused were in court yesterday and were remanded in custody for verification of their immigration status. Some were fined 2,000 rand for selling expired food. Provincial Police spokesperson Marisela Lidwaba says officers arrested the accused during an operation in Butlokwa.
The operation was conducted at Butlokwa in one of the general dealers, a wholesaler and supermarket in the patterning section, where expired products were confiscated. And in one of the supermarkets, products were repacked and expiry dates were also tampered with. 5 suspects were arrested for selling expired food, 4 were arrested for possession of illicit cigarettes, and 3 suspects arrested for contravention of Immigration Act. All suspects appeared before Moribeng Magistrate Court on charges of selling expired food, possession of illicit cigarettes, and illegal immigration.
The South African National Civic Organization in the Northwest says the second phase of government's operation to bring to the surface illegal miners is moving at a snail's pace. Officials from the SAPS and SANDF are involved in the operation to get the illegal miners from the shaft 11 at a mine in Stilfontein. The operation entails lowering a camera into the shaft in an effort to establish how many illegal miners are underground. Residents of the area have put the number at 4,500 and government has disputed it. Sanko provincial spokesperson is Mzuki Sijam.
I'm wondering, as we're sitting here, as to how many people have died, because we got reports of some bodies, and some bodies were taken out and we were told that other people have died and are still underground. So we're not really going to say, because finally there's a crane after more than 3 weeks, and then there is progress. The progress they are progressing at a snail pace. We are still very much convinced that they have no interest or willingness in terms of saving lives.
Recapping the top story, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority has revealed that 70% of the country's municipalities in areas with pension fund contributions are in the Free State. I am Ondolambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 1:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Bikwana Jametsi want to prove that they can swim in all kinds of tough circumstances and shock Masanda Wanda to be crowned the champions. But Bafana Bastal trust their superior game plan will deliver a trophy to the Yellow Nation. This is the Carling Knockout Final. Fagukes! Catch the unmatched passion and drama of Ibola Semzansi, Makesi FC versus Mamelodi Sundowns FC on Saturday, 23 November, live on SABC1 at 5:30 p.m. and SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Enjoy these fantastic payday savings at Clicks until the 27th of November. Buy Clicks 2-ply toilet paper, 18 rolls, 2 for 105 Rand per pack and 1 for 120 Rand. Get Huggies Disposable Nappies Gold Jumbo Pack or Extra Care Value Pack, now $239.99 per pack. And buy Clicks Jumbo Kitchen Roller Towel, 2 for 110 Rand. Clicks, feel good, pay less.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
It is Oskido coming through featuring Zonke with Bayateta, and they've been long-time collaborators on music, as well as having quite the bond by way of just a business mentorship and being in each other's lives for the last couple of years. And of course, we open up with Oskido today because we're going to be touching base with the big O himself ahead of the countdown to his Oskido's big day out. We're going to be finding out about, how life has been the last couple of decades of music, of business, of evolution, and all things interesting. Also coming up on the show today, stages, pages, screens, and more. I'll be chatting to a visual artist Nhlanhla Mahlangu around an exhibition called Chants for Disinheriting Apartheid. Interesting title there. No doubt we'll unpack it with the artist. On the other side of 2 o'clock, we're going to be joined in, not in studio, but we're going to be joined in conversation by more creatives. And I'll let you know what exactly our focus is going to be. But we're looking at an art exhibition called Rebooting the Gaze, and we're catching up with songstress Azana. All of that and so much more on this Friday afternoon. Friday is about all things artistic and cultural on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. But hey, listen, if you want to be in conversation with Oskido, perhaps you want to share a memory around one of his many tracks or his collaborations, or you want to just share with us the impact that he's had in South African music from your perspective, you are more than welcome to do so. You can drop us a voice note on 061-410-4107, or you can give us a call on 086-000-2032. It is the Full Circle. Myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Imagine a South Africa where every child born today and tomorrow and the next day and the next had enough love, enough food, enough safety and brain power today and tomorrow and the next day and the next. Together, we will change their future. Join us by visiting
holdmyhand.org.za. That's holdmyhand.org.za.
The Proteas are eager to play top-of-the-range cricket. However, their visitors England want to conquer the pitch battle at Willamore Park. Africa takes on Europe. What is summer without cricket? This is the second Women's T20 International Encounter, where summer cricket comes alive. South Africa versus England on Wednesday, 27 November at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and reports on various SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM. Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
All right, let's try and get this show going. I've been saying to my team, and no doubt you've kind of picked up in the last week or two, that I've just been battling my body at the moment and literally holding on by a thread. Every day is a negotiation to get through the day. I've tried every kind of concoction. If there is something that you think perhaps could recalibrate the body, please feel free to share with me. I'm willing to try just about anything at this point in time. But we're catching up now with a South African legend. He is a businessman, he is a musician, a producer, an entrepreneur. He's a man really that has enjoyed various evolutions through his more than 3 decades of being in the music industry now, at the forefront of Kalawa Jazmi as one of the founders of Kalawa Jazmi, and the man who really has brought to South Africa the likes of Boom Shaka, Bongo Muffin, Mafiki Zolo, and so the list goes on and on. He's also had his fair share of being a radio broadcaster. We worked together many moons ago as a young DJ entering the space. He was at YFM with one of the biggest dance shows at the time. I've spent many a years observing him in the corridors of YFM and the impact that he's had in the South African music industry. He needs absolutely no introduction. If we say the big O, everybody knows exactly who you're talking about. Oscar Waruna, how are you doing?
Hey, Bridget, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Cannot complain, indeed. Cannot complain. Listen, firstly, I would have wanted you in the studio physically, but I'm told that you are on site, prepping for Oskido's big day out.
Yes, definitely. It's happening on the 30th November, Linksfields, in Johannesburg, from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. So people need to come out there as we are celebrating the history of dance music.
Yeah, and what a fabulous history that is. And of course, you being very central to it in South Africa. I mean, walk us through, those beginning stages, those infantile stages of dance music in South Africa. What was the scene like, almost 30 years ago, at the dawn of democracy?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we came from an era as the youth of 1994, that time. And I think it actually started after the release of Utatu Nelson Mandela. As the youth of that time, we were tired of singing political things, and we started creating our own music. And I remember back in the days, we used to slow down house music. That time, house music was called international. And then from there, we started reprogramming, house music, and we're creating instrumentals out of that. And later on, we started putting on our vocals, on the music. And this is how Kwaito was born.
Yeah, and the energy at that time, Oskido, I mean, when you guys were at the center of sort of pioneering this new sound, did you think it would take up the kind of space and have the kind of impact that it inevitably had?
No, not really. I mean, I think everyone has got his own journey, and on my journey, I never thought that it would take off what we have right now. Hence, we are celebrating, because if you can look at historically all over the world, this has been one of the unique elements which has happened. For example, Americans managed to create hip-hop, as a culture, but we managed to create our own, the Kwaito music, which has now given birth to a firstborn, which is Amapiano. So for me, there wasn't any planning, but the universe just started putting things together. That's how amazing our God is.
Here's one thing that I've never asked you in the years. Had it not been music, would it have been anything else for you? I mean, considering the fact that, technically your dad is a politician.
Yeah, my late dad was a politician, and it's not, remember, even when I started, I didn't start in music. I've always wanted to be a motor mechanic because my neighbor used to be a motor mechanic. So I used to look up to his cash flow, because for me, what's important in life is always to have cash.
Yeah.
So we were always having people stopping there, by his roadside, and then you fix, and then you have a cash flow. Whereas on my side, we didn't have money at times, no money for food. So therefore, yes, I took upon that job, and I remember early in 93, I finally got my dream job, which was motor mechanic, and I got via apprenticeship via BMW. So I was working in Midrand in Halfway House. And when I was in there, wow, I started understanding and not liking the job, this, because remember, when you're a first year artisan student, they give you, all these, easy jobs of taking tires and all that, because they have to groom you up to be a proper mechanic. So therefore, I didn't like doing that, because, it was becoming greasy. It was so smelly. They would give me cars of customers who come in to service their cars. But, I'll be playing music, I poof, taking the car, where I have to change tires or look, because I have to unbungle things if they have to take out brake pads. And, it was so greasy. My hands were dirty. It was frustrating me. After 2-3 months, then I realized, no, this is not for me. Because I think in life, you always want to say you want to get into something, But once you get in there, you find that this is not for me. So I hated it every minute. And my manager could see that, no, this is what I didn't like. Then he came to me. He was like straightforward and saying, do you really enjoy this job? Because every time when you are given a car, you're always listening to radio, playing music, you know. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Then later I realized, no, this is what I didn't want to do that. And my passion has always been music. But, you know, remember where we come from as black kids, it's always education. I had finished my high school. So therefore, I just decided that day that, you know, after 2 months being there, I decided to quit.
Yeah.
And I quit my job. But I know it because I couldn't go back and tell them home that, you know what, I've quit this job, because they were looking forward to say, yeah, finally, we've got this motor mechanic who's going to have a cash flow for us.
Yeah.
And from there, I just decided, then I went in the streets of Johannesburg in Elof Street with my 700 check, which they paid me. Those days, they used to pay us by check. And from there, I said, okay, what will I do now? Then from there, this is when I saw a lady who was selling hot dogs, you know, Porovos on the streets. Then I asked him, where do you buy this trolley? Then he gave me a number, and I called the people who manufacture the trolleys. They say, no, we're selling it for 500 cash if you've got money. Then I went to change the check quickly, and boom, I had that 500 bucks. The guy came in within an hour to drop off, and boom, there I was in the street of Joburg, pushing the trolley, Elof Street. Hey, Wena, what are you doing in our corner? Wah. And I was there. I was selling hot dogs. And that night, I didn't have a place to sleep, but the only thing which I knew there was a club in Hillbrook called Razzmatazz, where they had ladies' night. It was on a Thursday. I pushed my trolley there, and I asked the owner if I could sell outside. This is how my career started.
Wonderful. And you know what I love about that story, Oskido? We're in conversation with music entrepreneur and founder of Kalawa Jasmine, Oskido, the big O. And I think what I love about that story is, you know, it tells of a person who's forever seeking opportunity, right? You realize that something was not for you and you were given the push out, but instead of sitting on your laurels, you went straight into hustle mode, into figuring out what is the next plan. And that sense of hustleship, that sense of figuring out the next step. Where would you say that innately comes from? Is it something that has always been in you, or something perhaps you've observed in the community as you were growing up as a young man?
Well, I've always known that life, it's all about hustling. And I think it teaches you, because most of the time is that we become comfortable and we expect people to do things, you know, for us, especially if you've got something which is burning, you know, the purpose which you want to do. You need to go out there and push, because a lot of people always give up on their dreams because they want to give up easily. So therefore, I'm that type of a person. If I need something, I go out, I keep trying. And
Oskido? Did we lose Oskido? I think the audio just dipped out, or perhaps it's buffering. We're going to try.
I get to where I am, because I know that even that journey, but all I wanted to do was to say, this is my life altogether, right? To be who I am today. Then when I got outside, I started selling hot dogs, you know, there, and I had a few guys buying, and they are going to the club. Then that's when I asked. I remember there was a Metro. Those days they used to have DJs coming to play there. There was a late DJ called Evidence Camp and Ian Sikola. Both of them are late, and they used to say, "Okay, play our closing sets." Then I'll play the closing set for the club. The workers there when they are cleaning, because the club also had vinyls, and I was teaching myself how to play. But that time I was pushing, because I didn't have a place to sleep, so I was pushing time. So they will finish at 5 o'clock. Then from there, go to Joburg Park, push my trolley, sleep for about 3-4 hours. Then I'm up to the, go back to Elof Street. And I was doing that back and forth until one day, the resident DJ at Razzmatazz didn't pitch up. But the owner knew me that, there's a guy who's always playing for our workers. Then he said, can you come in and play? It was Saturday night. And boom, I grabbed that opportunity. And when I played that night, that club owner said, you know what, I'm employing you fully. I don't want you to go back selling your wars out there. And because I befriended street kids there, I just went And I said, you know what, guys, take over this thing. This is your business. I don't want to be touching this greasy stuff. This is how I started my journey. So I became a resident at Razzmatazz, and this is how my journey began.
Listen, a few of you sort of OGs in the game, the likes of yourself, the likes of Christos and Vinny and a few others, always have such endearing stories about this club Razzmatazz that I feel as if I'm going to give you a free idea and say that there's a documentary to be made there, Oskido, and you definitely should exec produce it. The other thing I sort of have always admired about you is your, and I want to sneak this in before the headlines at past, but is your willingness to share your experience with younger musicians. And you've brought a lot of musicians who've gone on to be superstars in their own right, but who've sort of been groomed under your tutelage. And, I think of just all the YFM crew, for instance, who sort of looked upon you as an older brother, the likes of DJ Zinhle, who still considers you as her primary counsel in almost everything that she does. Why is it so important for you to, as you journey and evolve, that you also just keep that youthful energy with you and you keep that exchange of intergenerational experience?
Well, I always believe that if the universe gives you something, you need to share with other people. And for me, I think it's always been, that God gave me a platform. Remember, even the Oskido brand, I'm not alone. So I had to work with Christos, Pradon, Bomandla, Bo Zayn, Bo Bruce Stopsibitlo. So work as a collective. But once you're out there, then God gives me an opportunity to say that, okay, you've got this platform. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then from there, you need to start pulling other people who are down, to come up with you. And those people are going to go up the ladder. They're going to pull you up. I mean, talking about Zinhle now, I go back to her for advisory marketing, especially this gig, which I'm doing on this 30th of November. She did a successful festival 2 months ago. So now I'm going to her and say, hey, give me tips of how I can market this thing. Do you understand? And now saying, oh, do this. So therefore, we need to fit on each other. Because most of the time when God gives you an opportunity or the universe gives you an opportunity, it means that you need to pass it on to other people. Share as much as you can. You never know. Those people are going to pick you up in the long run. That's how the universe operates.
Absolutely. Let's pause it here for a second as we get into the headline news, but our WhatsApps are open on 061-410-4107. We are in conversation with Oskido. If you want to chime in or share a story, a memory, an experience, feel free to do so. You can give us a call on 086 000 2032.
Bridget, in your news headlines at 1:30 on SAFM, I am Wanda Lambana, and a very good day. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has revealed that 70% of the country's municipalities in areas with pension fund contributions are in the Free State. The Speaker of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Morogane Mosupie, says victims of gender-based violence often remain silent as there are often no safe spaces to open up about their trauma. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the International Criminal Court's decision to issue a warrant of his arrest is anti-Semitic. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The SAFM Playwriting Competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are in conversation with one of the living legends of South African music, the co-founder of what was essentially known as Galawa Records in its inception. He founded it alongside fellow producers Don Laga and DJ Christos. and they released the eponymous self-titled BOP, Brothers of Peace compilation back in 1993. They went on to establish a network of DJs, musicians, producers, and other hopefuls. And eventually, the label then turned into what we now know as Kalawa Jazmi in 1995 after Christos departed. And that's not departed, but as in exited the building, because he's still very much with us. And of course, we are in conversation with Oskido, the man behind most of the hits that dominated radio between the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, up until this point. He's behind the phenomenal bands like Bongo Muffin, Boom Shaka, Mafigizolo, and the list goes on and on. He's also, by the way, Oskido, quite the entrepreneur, having ventured into the world of dining and launched the Rumor restaurant a couple of years ago, a Asian fusion restaurant with really delicious food. I was actually very surprised. And now he's morphed into something else, because now he's taken social media by storm with a whole host of characters that people have come to endear. I mean, there's no stopping you, Oskido, and also there's no sort of limiting of yourself. You know, I remember when you started posting your characters from TikTok, a lot of people were taken aback, like, what is Grootman doing? What is this about? But I loved what you said when you said that, one, it's so that you can go into your daughter's world and get to experience her lived experience in real time, with the youth playing on TikTok. But also, two, understanding that as a brand, you've got to evolve into different spaces, as you harness different markets.
Yes. I think it's always very important to do that in life. You know, you must have ability to change. As I told you my story that, I once dreamt being a mechanic, but when I got...
Oskido? The sound just dipping us out on us.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Okay. Yes, I can now.
Yeah. And so maybe... What I'm saying is that it's very important for you to have ability to change in life, because at times you might find that your purpose drive you into a certain thing, then later you get bored, you don't like it. And for me, I mean, as an artist, I always thought that it's always better for me to keep extending my brand. Hence, I mean, when you talk about Daruma restaurant, I mean, I started from the streets, and right now I'm owning this Japanese restaurant. And most of my clients who come in are the people who I met. You know, I used to play for them in varsities, Logo Medunsa and all that. And they come to the restaurant with their kids. And when they get there, it's funny enough, you find their kids, maybe they want to take photos with me because they've seen me on TikTok. And you find the parents are saying, no, but we know him before you. So therefore, you see, I'm getting my name to be known on the kids section. And also, if you look at my character on TikTok, it's women loved it, because when I grew up, because I was hardcore kwaito, so therefore when I looked at my analytics on my social media, it used to be saying 90-10, right? 90% guys, 10% female. I didn't have any female followings, but right now the scales have changed. It's like I've got 60% following, from females, 40%, because of what the brand does. It talks to it resonates a lot with a lot of women. So therefore, life is a game, man. We mustn't take it serious. You must keep shifting the needle.
I love it. Don't take it serious, but take it serious enough that you check the analytics.
It's a game, man. We keep going, and you're always rushing. You don't know where you're going to get to, but it's when God decides to say, you know what, come.
Yeah.
You know what, I want you up there. This is when the game ends. So it's got to be like that.
Absolutely. Oskido, I want to patch in Desmond from Johannesburg, who wants to speak of your acumen as a businessman. How are you, Desmond?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, Oskido. Desmond Golding here.
Mr. Des.
Yeah, just two quick issues probably that may be outside the realm of entertainment about Oskido. See, Oskido is a businessman par excellence. I've worked with him. You mentioned the rumor. He's not only straight-jacketed into music, into construction. I may not mention other things, but he's a businessman. He's the biggest quagmire about many musicians is that they don't diversify. They only doesn't look at a tree, you look at the entire bush. Secondly, and very quickly, is that he is a wheeler and a dealer of notes. When in KwaZulu-Natal, I was the head of department for economic development and tourism, a director general there. I consulted Oskido and I said, you know what, I want to explode tourism in this region. You would recall that between 2010 and around 2018, lots of events were happening in KwaZulu-Natal, MTV, awards, the metros. I had to consult with Oskido and say, you know what, share me your insight. You are a sage in this. Share me your insight. So I want to say he's a winner and a dealer. He's got foresight, which many people do not have. I always salute him, and I say, may God bless him to grow higher and higher.
Fantastic, Desmond. Thank you so much for the call.
Thank you.
And I think that's the thing, Oskido, is that, a lot of people look at your success, but they don't actually acknowledge the sort of the business head that you've worn throughout the years, because you've pretty much been the CEO of Oskido Enterprises, if there was ever such, where everything else falls under.
Yes. I think it's very important in life that we do that. As Desmond has just said, because, we need to work with other players. You find someone is an accountant or is running a certain thing, but we are on the streets, because for me, what I know is that I learn from the streets. But, once you combine all those things, magical things happen, as Desmond has mentioned. We're creating a lot of stuff, coming in, but just to consult and say, this is what I think should happen. And then he will come in, put in his academic, things to put things together. So it's always good that we work together. And also in life, because a lot of people always want to perfect things and to be experts. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be an expert. Once you've got a concept, make sure that you start bringing in other people who can help to put that thing together. For example, right now, I'm doing, the first festival, Oskido's Big Day Out, happening on the 30th. The concept for me was to say, you know what, we've been doing this since 1994, but where are my people who started listening to Kwaito, who started listening to house music? Do you understand? Where are they going out to? Because at the moment I don't see them. So therefore the concept was to call them so that, they call them together and we create this thing together so that they reminisce all those things. Because you cannot just pull yourself out and say, no, because my piano is happening now, we can't go out. But we need those people so that we can start talking about those days, Bridget, when we're in YFM, when you hear that song, when you hear Mdu playing, or Tebe Utwere Vibe, when you see Zola, you think of Hizo, when you see all these things happening. So now, what happens is that it's a concept which I had, but for me to put it together, I had to assemble a team of people who are experts. So, hence, I'm doing this. It's going to be one of the biggest festivals happening on the 30th November out there in Linksfield in Johannesburg from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. Make sure that you get your tickets now. The good thing is that we've just opened a Black Friday, a Black Friday special where you buy a bundle for 3 and then you get, two tickets for free. So make sure you get it. Our VIP and VVIP are already sold out. So it shows the market which I'm pulling in this event.
Fabulous stuff. Oskido, always the man who takes all the opportunity to PR, market, position, and all the elements of business. We appreciate the time with you.
You're given an opportunity. You don't waste time, eh?
That's it. I appreciate the time with you this afternoon. And, just congratulations on an incredible life lived and for getting all your flowers whilst you can still smell them, all the incredible accolades that you've been receiving. And, of course, on the 30th of November in Linksfield, you've got a date with Oskido and some of that old-school crew as you relive the best of yesteryear. That was Oskido, the Big O, on Full Access.
Dikwana want to prove that they can swim in all kinds of tough circumstances and shock Masanda Wanda to be crowned the champions. But Bafana Bastal trust their superior game plan will deliver a trophy to the Yellow Nation. This is the Carling Knockout Final. Fagukes! Catch the unmatched passion and drama of Football Lasemzansi, Makesi FC versus Mamelodi Sundowns FC on Saturday, 23 November, live on SABC 1 at 5:30 p.m. and SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Ask a woman. Ask a woman stranded on the side of the road with her 2 young crying children whether she is glad she was able to get her latest insurance quote in under 90 seconds. Ask a woman if she feels anyone is there for her. And now ask yourself, when suddenly happens, who's there for you?
Auto and General. Car insurance with 24-hour roadside assistance with live progress tracking. SMS car to 43365 for an obligation-free insurance quote. A&G is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
The SAFM playwriting competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Stages, pages, screens, and more on the Full Circle.
Alrighty, still keeping on that artistic flow this afternoon. We're catching up with visual artist Nhlanhla Mahlangu, and we're looking at Chant for Disinheriting Apartheid by Nhlanhla Mahlangu. And this journey traces 30 years of democracy in South Africa by visualizing 30 years of Mahlangu's body orchestration. How are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making the time. We appreciate it. And I guess maybe let's begin at the base with unpacking the title of this exhibition. They say that titles speak many words. Chant for Disinheriting Apartheid.
Well, my body of work is, I've always called it Chant, my first solo work as an individual artist. I'm a performance artist, and I'm a singer, a dancer, an actor, and a choreographer. And I use music and dance to make theater, and I use theater to make visual installations. So it's all, I wear many hats in different places in different times, or sometimes at the same time. So Chant for Disinheriting Apartheid, we are looking at the work that I have been doing for the past, I'm given an opportunity to look at the work that I've been doing for the past 30 years. With what kind of a knowledge has it produced? In what is it that we are learning from it, or I, even myself, is learning from the work that I have been doing? So I'm going back, and I'm actually creating this performance lecture reflecting on my practice, and also unpacking my own practice to myself to say, what is it that it is teaching me? What is it that I'm learning from it? What is it that everybody can learn from it?
And interesting, Nhlanhla, when one sort of, reads your biography, right? So you began developing what you call the library of sounds as a child, and at the time growing up in apartheid. Talk to us about what that meant by way of sort of just learning to listen. Learning to listen and move your way through sonic lessons, and then when do you begin to realize as an artist that perhaps this is how you then come to archiving your work, and this is how you come to presenting your work, through music and dance?
They say South Africa is the country that got its liberation from apartheid in 4-part harmony. And when they say that, my joke to that is, maybe that's why apartheid lasted for so long in South Africa, because they thought we were enjoying it, because we were singing and dancing through it. But also there's a lesson there. as a composer, I'm looking at composition that happens when nobody sits down and writes a song.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody sat down and said, I want to write a song that says, come, guerrilla, hi, Yamazan, hi, guerrilla, Kijima, hi. So nobody sat down and wrote that song, but it came out as a spasm, as a reaction. And nobody sat down and said, I want to create a new genre called Iskatami. It came as a spasm. These men were in the compound. They were told that they were not supposed to sing. They were not supposed to dance. And in an effort to be not seen, in an effort to be quiet, and in an effort to be still, a new genre was born. Igambut dance, it was born out of a frustration of, I'm sitting here with all the men, they don't understand my language, we're wearing some funny shoes and we're lifting heavy objects. So I'm interested in the composition that happens incidentally, and at the end, the composition remains as a document of a reaction or of an event. So as a child who grows up in apartheid, and I went to school in 1985 when P.W. Botha was president, and I lived through the ANC and the IFP killings and massacres during our transition to democracy. And living in Polar Park squatter camp opposite Kalanyoni Hostel, seeing AK-47s and the R5 rifles like handbags, and our shack being burned 3 times, and the songs that were sang every day and the cries that were cried every day. This was the soundscape of my childhood, and which informed the body of the work I'm creating as an artist.
It's a collective history, and to hear it sort of being articulated and compartmentalized in the context of music just brings a new appreciation, not only to the forms but also to our shared experience sonically. Talk to us quickly as we wrap it up about, because this is a one-day only lecture. It's a one-day only performance lecture for anyone that's now intrigued and actually wants to come see you in performance. Where do we go? Because it's happening on Tuesday.
You come to the auditorium of the Market Theatre Photo Workshop.
Okay.
It's in Johannesburg. It starts at 6 o'clock for 6:30.
Okay. Auditorium of the Market Theatre here in Johannesburg this coming Tuesday, the 26th of November, and doors open at 6 o'clock. It should be an incredible experience indeed with Nhlanhla Mahlangu. Thank you so much for taking the moment to be in conversation with us. We are so much richer for having engaged you. It's gone 10 to 2 o'clock. We're going to take a quick pause here for a little bit of a commercial break, and then we come back on the other side of this and we talk breast cancer and the importance of screening for early detection.
Back-to-back Women's T20 World Cup runners-up, the Proteas face England. They both want to walk away from Buffalo Park with big smiles. What is summer without cricket? This is the first Women's T20 International Contest, where summer cricket comes alive. South Africa clashes with England on Sunday 24 November at 2 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and reports on various SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Alrighty, it is the Full Circle on SAFM with myself, Bridget Masinga. I should actually learn to say the full name of the show, The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga on SAFM, as we wrap up what has been a great week on our end. So the following feature is brought to you by Novartis, Reimagining Medicine. Let's get into a conversation now. And we're looking at breast cancer and the importance of screening for early detection. We're catching up with Dr. Rika Pinar, who's a clinical oncologist. How are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, Bridget, very, very well. It's always nice to have a Friday rather than a Monday, eh?
We can share that sentiment, that's for sure. Doc, let's get into this conversation. Let's unpack. When we talk, is it metastatic?
Yeah, metastasis. That is a word, Latin word, that means that the breast cancer has spread from the original organ, from the breast or from the lymph glands under the armpit. That is the first area where you normally would pick up with signs and symptoms that there's a breast cancer present.
Oh, okay. So
then it spread to different organs. Most commonly, it would go to bone, but it can also spread to the lungs or the liver of the brain.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And does metastasis breast cancer move that kind of way? And I know I just messed up the pronunciation there. Is it the general behavior of breast cancer to sort of spread? If not caught?
Bridget, if it's caught early, your chances of getting cured is extremely high. And what is happening now is, in the past 10 years, there were so many advances in breast cancer treatment, where 30 years ago when I started with the treatment, we had to rely on chemotherapy mainly, and we had 1 or 2 hormone therapies. But so much has happened, not only in understanding breast cancer, but also getting new treatment opportunities for our patients. That is not chemotherapy. It's like a hormone receptor positive breast cancer. Whether it's spread or not, we have now the CDK4/6 inhibitors that actually works better than chemotherapy, and the patients can carry on with their lives. They don't have the hair loss. They don't have all the horrible side effects that we normally see with chemotherapy, with a tremendous improvement in the outcome. So not only do we cure more patients in the early breast cancer setting, but if it's so unfortunate that a patient do experience spread, and that's about in 1 out of 3 patients, we have all these new novel drugs and tools to really increase the longevity of the patient in terms of overall survival for years with good quality of life. So I'm very fortunate to be part of oncology in this decade. Yeah. It is so much better than 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. And from what we're hearing, Dr. Rika, is, there's an optimism within sort of the sector of oncology right now, from what we're just hearing about you by way of the treatment options that are available, yes. and some of the options that people can explore. So it's not necessarily, it's a devastating diagnosis, it's not all gloom and doom.
No, we cure, although there's a higher incidence of breast cancer over the past 20 to 30 years, the death rate dropped by about 30%, indicating to you how effective the new treatment is, the understanding of the disease. So we cure more patients. There's this awareness, and patients get diagnosed much earlier. It's not weird to get somebody diagnosed with a 2-millimeter lesion. Wow. And obvious, if it's so tiny, the cure rate is 100%. But if it is a more advanced breast cancer and you have metastatic disease, we used to have an overall survival of 20 years ago of about 18 months. Sure. Now we talk about 5 years plus before there's progression. We keep the disease stable. So breast cancer is not the killer it used to be. It's a chronic disease. Yeah. It is it's a disease like diabetes and hypertension that we can treat and maintain control. So yes, it is. What you hear is definitely optimism. The problem is, Bridget, is that these drugs are very expensive and patients don't always have access to that. And that is the major problem. Not the tools or the medicine or the knowledge, but the cost of these drugs, and to have patients covered on the right medical aids to provide those drugs in case they need it.
And while we're there, just maybe a sort of tip or guidance. Maybe guidance would be the right word for anybody that's trying to figure out the kinds of questions that they should be asking their insurer or their medical provider or their doctor around the best options and the best programs for them. What would you guide someone listening?
Bridget, it's very important that the patients understand there are different types of breast cancers, that they know, is it hormone positive, is it fish positive, is it triple negative, because there are different recipes, if you can put it like that, to treat these different diseases. But also, there's a different prediction with these different types. So if you sit down with your doctor can tell you whether you are at risk to get spread, and if you have spread, or when the risk is, and if you have spread, what would be the optimal treatment for you. And that's what you need. With that knowledge about what is your risk, what is the timeline for these risks, and what are the optimal treatments. If you know that, you can plan your medical aid and your gap cover around that. Gotcha. So that gives you much more security, because one of the biggest, it is already a very emotional burden for the patient to go through cancer treatment, but the financial burden, the financial toxicity is a word that has been coined in oncology, is tremendous. And some of these young women, they have children, they have a work, the employees are not always so empathetic with them. It's a difficult situation, and if you at least have the let's say the security that your medical aid is as best as it could be and what you can afford.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of safety in that.
Absolutely. Doc, we have to wrap it up here, but maybe just a final point, 30 seconds. How do we support someone who's been diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer?
I think the first thing is not to cry harder than the patient. Mm-hmm. It is not a clear disease anymore. When you support, there are different levels of support. First of all, if they go through chemotherapy, it's hard. Pick up the kids, help with shopping, bring the food, don't stay too long, don't just arrive, phone before you arrive. Don't think for them. They can decide what they can do and what they can't do. Wonderful. Be honest, don't be a different person, just be yourself. Let life continue as normal as possible.
Wonderful. Dr. Rika Pinar, we appreciate the time, and Dr. Rika is a clinical oncologist, and this feature, of course, was brought to you by Novitas, Reimagining Medicine, and you can visit them on www.novitas.com.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 2 Free State accounts for 70% arrears in pension fund contributions, and Netanyahu responds to arrest warrants issued by the ICC. For SAFM News, I am Onda Lambana, and a very good day. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has revealed that 70% of the country's municipalities in areas with pension fund contributions are in the Free State. It says the problem is widespread, with nearly two-thirds of South Africa's municipalities reportedly in areas as of March this year. The regulatory body has provided an update of withdrawal fees, employer contributions and rule amendments. This follows the implementation of the two-pot retirement system in September. Gyabetswe Tswene, senior analyst for retirement funds at the FISCA, says KwaZulu-Natal has the most municipalities at 28, but the Free State stands out with 22 out of the 24 municipalities failing to meet their obligations.
And I suppose that speaks to, the governance issues that we have heard about in the Free State as well. Interestingly, we also have 7 municipalities in Gauteng. Those speak to some distressed municipalities. You also have, perhaps the city of the Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Municipality, but that could most likely be referring to historical area contributions.
The city of Tshwane says it has opened more sites to accommodate the increased number of customers rushing to upgrade their electricity meters. The current standard transfer specification software expires on Sunday. The city spokesperson, Lindela Mashigo, says to avoid disruptions to customers' prepaid meters, residents must upgrade from STS1 to STS2 before the Sunday deadline.
Residents can now visit the city's customer care centers located within regions for assistance with prepaid meter software upgrades from today, Friday, 22 November 2024 until Sunday, 24 November 2024. These municipal offices, which will operate from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. on the 3 days, will also assist customers with account enquiries, payment arrangements, and account settlements.
The Speaker of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Morokane Mosubie, says victims of gender-based violence often remain silent as there are often no safe spaces to open up about their trauma. Mosubie is at the launch of the 16 Days of Activism for No Violence Against Women and Children campaign at Everton on Gauteng's Valrand. The 16 Days campaign is a call to action for individuals and communities to unite in the fight against GBV and its devastating impact on women, children and society as a whole. Masubie says the emphasis this year is the importance of breaking the silence and holding perpetrators accountable.
Its intention is to get people to be comfortable enough to speak about the experiences that they have. The oppression that we grew up under has made it difficult for people to open up and speak about the challenges that they find, especially issues around gender-based violence and your normal oppression of women. So if it happens to a woman, you automatically know that it's going to affect that woman's children, especially the girl child.
The Polokwane Regional Court in Limpopo has postponed the bail application of a double murder accused to February next year. Zachariah Oliver's bail hearing has been postponed due to the unavailability of his lawyer. 60-year-old Oliver and two co-accused Rudolph Divet and William Musora, a Zimbabwean national, are charged with 2 counts of murder, attempted murder and possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. They allegedly killed 2 women, Maria Machato and Lucian Lovo, on a farm in Onverwacht outside Polokwane and dumped their bodies in a pigsty. Mahlatse Paladi reports.
The court was postponed after Oliver's counsel indicated it was not ready to proceed. This as an advocate who was supposed to lead the application was unavailable. The state prosecutor, Advocate Letabo Mashianim, has told the court that they were ready to proceed. Meanwhile, Oliver broke down in court during the session. Magistrate Felen Dilanim also referred the matter back to Mangwe Magistrate Court. Magistrate in Dilanim postponed the matter to the 18th of February next year. Mahlatse Paladin, SABC News, Polokwane.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the International Criminal Court's decision to issue a warrant for his arrest is anti-Semitic. The court issued the warrant yesterday for alleged war crimes in Gaza. Warrants were also issued for Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Hamas leader Mohammed Deif, although Israel says it killed him in July. Netanyahu has rejected the court's allegation.
Israel will not recognize the validity of this decision. We will continue to do everything we must do to defend our citizens and defend our state against Iran's axis of terror, Iran and its terrorist proxies, which include Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others. Our enemies are your enemies, and our victory will be your victory, the victory of civilization over barbarism and tyranny.
Recapping the top story, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority has revealed that 70% of the country's municipalities in areas with pension fund contributions are in the Free State. I am Ondelambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 2:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Everybody needs an island adventure. Think about it.
white sandy beaches, tall coconut trees, the sun shining down on you. Moments that will have you singing, when the water's so blue. Well, this is no typical island adventure. 18 contestants will spend 39 days on the island of the idols, strategizing, backstabbing, forging and breaking alliances. Here, their meals aren't guaranteed. They eat what they catch. One mistake or betrayal might get them kicked off the island. It's a battle for $1 million on Survivor 39. Channel your best reality with Survivor Season 39. Island of the Idols, Thursdays at 6 p.m. on S3. Open up.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Enjoy these fantastic payday savings at Clicks until the 27th of November. Buy Clicks 2-ply toilet paper, 18 rolls, 2 for 105 Rand per pack and 1 for 120 Rand. Get Huggies Disposable Nappies Gold Jumbo Pack or Extra Care Value Pack, now $239.99 per pack. And buy Clicks Jumbo Kitchen Roller Towel, 2 for 110 Rand. Clicks, feel good, pay less.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Strong abantu impilo zethu sibekwe ngabantu kwaze kwenzima ukuphila kulomhlaba strong abantu maphilo aruna shebelwe ke batho strong abantu impilo zethu strong abantu Pillow around the shipping we give out to abantu uhlala bekhuluma Ehlala bekhuluma. Ehlala bekhuluma.
It's Zanele on the other side. My producer seeped into our earphones as we were getting ready. As Latoya was singing as well. I was secretly hoping that our tech would open your mic while you were singing the last notes.
They're sleeping on the job.
Tech,
hello.
He was sleeping on the job. and that time the vocals were doing the thing.
Kwese kwenzima ukuphila kulomhlaba.
Oh, yes, madam.
Sijongwe ngabantu, impilo zethu sibekwe ngabantu.
I love it.
Thank you.
Welcome. How are you doing, Latoya McKenna?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I am good.
It's
You're
been a
looking,
long time.
It has been a long time.
It's been a little while.
And life has been lived in between, and, things have happened.
And we are still here.
Yes, that's the most important part.
And our spirit is still combined with the body, which means that whatever it is that we're destined to do, whatever it is that our journey is set out to be, we have not completed yet. Therefore, we wake up every morning, we still have life in us, and I guess it's up to us to do the best with this gift of life that we've been given.
Absolutely. What a wonderful way to open up our conversation. We're joined in studio by Latoya McKenna, who is a musician, actress, a businesswoman, and of course a healer, a sangoma. I hugged you, and normally I ask abogogo because sometimes abomkhulu and abogogo are not in the mood for physical strange contact.
Absolutely.
So apologies for just going in for the hug without.
But I think it was mutual. You and I both just came in for the hug.
Yes.
So it's all right.
Okay.
Futhi siphahlile. Sisakhuluma nabogogo nabomkhulu just to say, okay, I know this is a very personal space for you, but there'll be those one or two beautiful, special people that need to have access to us. So here we are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's talk about that, because I know you spoke about your spiritual journey earlier on when it first transpired. But we've obviously seen in recent years, there's been this conversation around people's spiritual journeys, and so many creatives have sort of shared and opened up about their callings and sort of just the sacredness of that journey. How has it been for you, sort of living through life, going through spirituality, finding yourself in this sort of evolution, learning to be in the spiritual space and still obviously maintaining your professional career? You're still acting, you're still singing, you're still doing all of that. I just wondered, just reflecting back on the last couple of years, because you've been in spirituality for many years now.
A very long time, over 2 decades. I think we're running for 24 years.
Really?
Yes. And my journey is a very different story. Because my story is one that started at a time when it was still taboo to be a sangoma, where being a sangoma was frowned upon, where you were told, by your publicist, okay, now we understand that you've got to go and do what you got to do, but can you rather keep it quiet? Don't let anyone find out about it, because we're scared we're not going to be able to secure work for you anymore.
Yes.
And me, being me, I was just like, we're thinking the world will be strong.
Yes.
Strong. Because for me, it felt like much more of a burden, a heavier load to carry, to have to pretend I am something or someone I'm not. For me, my spirituality, who I am, is such a deep part of me that it felt like it felt shameful for me to have to hide it, because I'm trying to show the world a certain side of me that the world would be willing to accept. And so I really didn't care. My attitude was always, look, if any brand or anybody doesn't want to align with me because I'm a sangoma, then it means that they were never supposed to be a part of my life. It means that they are not ready for all the greatness that I come with. And so it's okay. We win some, we lose some, but this is who I am, and I'm going to embrace it with my whole heart. And that's what my journey has always been for me. I guess it's only really now as ubungoma bungaka started becoming so popularized that people actually even started remembering that it's something that I've been so open about my entire life. So it wasn't a very recent thing for me. I didn't twasa like 2 or 3 or 5 years ago. Bungaka has been a part of my life from the age of 17, really. And I love it. I embrace it with all my heart.
Wonderful. Listen, I always go kudos to those who have a calling and who embrace it. I've had these conversations with my sister-in-law who finally answered her calling in her early 40s. Wow. And she had to negotiate her life through it. And I always say to her, I was like, hey, so you are a better woman than me, because I think I would rebel.
Well, I guess it's easier for you to say you would rebel because you are not on the receiving end of the weight, of the pain, of whatever it is that is happening in your life that gets you to that moment where you are saying, okay, ngiyavuma.
Yes.
Let me do it. I'm going to do it. So it's easier said right now because you don't have the pressure of Idlozi calling you, because it comes with many different challenges. You know, some of us get sick, some of us go through a lot of suffering, some great loss. There's so many different ways that Idlozi tries to scream at you for your attention, and it's not always the nicest way. So maybe if you were the one being called, you would have reason to say, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. You know?
Right? Yeah. And knowing my grandmothers, they would not be gentle about
you
it.
are born.
Yes, no, they would not be gentle. It's 20 past 2 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. Let's take a quick break, and then we come back on the other side of this and continue our conversation.
The Proteas are eager to play top-of-the-range cricket. However, their visitors England want to conquer the pitch battle at Willamore Park. Africa takes on Europe. What is summer without cricket? This is the second Women's T20 International Encounter, where summer cricket comes alive. South Africa versus England on Wednesday, 27 November at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and reports on various SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one get one offer, you get great value for money. You know you can trust us with over 350 stores nationwide. Get a free pair of branded prescription sunglasses up to 3,200 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye test and spectacle frame with lenses on your first pair. Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Tommy Hilfiger, Carolina Herrera, and more. There really is no reason to go anywhere else. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We're in conversation with musician, actress, and traditional healer of Sangoma, Latoya Makena, joins us in studio. And so the debate as you were making your way out, we were like, wait, so it's Latoya and not Latoya.
Yes.
You know, all of South Africa just calls you Latoya.
It's crazy how everyone knows my name, but no one has really gotten the spelling right. But, well, you know, I guess recent activity in the world is going to make people really know how to spell my name, well, you know.
Listen, okay, I'm not going to, because we're not that kind of vibe, so we're not going to touch on recent activity, but just...
No, the recent activity I'm talking about is the release of my new single called Abantu Darling. And the fact that my video is dropping this Monday on the 25th of November. I don't know, what were you talking about? Were you referring to something else?
No, we were talking about Abantu.
Abantu. That's That's all we're talking about. The music.
Talking about the music.
The music.
Give us the sort of, I don't know, where do you write from? So my sort of underpinning understanding of musicians is that you write from a perspective of like just cathartic healing. Music becomes a dear diary.
Absolutely.
Is it the case for you?
Absolutely. But the way I write is that I don't only write. My diary entry through the music is not just about me. Sometimes I will write a song based on someone else's experience. That for me is my journey with putting pen to paper and putting my soul into a song. But this particular song, Abantu, and I think this is the first time in my life I am singing a song that I have not written. Abantu was written by the CEO of Ndete Global Effect, Mr. Ndete Mboswa, and it's the record label that I'm signed to. And he's a brilliant songwriter, and he did what I would do when I'm drawing from someone else's experience, because he drew from my experience. So it's such a personal song that it's so easy to think that I wrote it. But I didn't. I went into studio with Ndete. He's not just a great songwriter, he's a brilliant vocal producer, and we have very, very few vocal producers in this country. And he is brave about how far he's willing to take a song, and he is brave about how far he's willing to push the artist to get the best out of the artist. So I've been very blessed that I was surrounded by a team that I really feel was brought to me by God, by my angels, by my ancestors, because at this point in time, as this song was coming to me, and as Ndete wanted to sign me because he believed in me and because he knew how gifted I am, it was that very rare moment in my life where I was suddenly having writer's block, where I could not even find the strength in myself to begin healing the way I normally would, which is to write and to let it all out. I was having my writer's block. I was having my own struggles. But for the fact that I could get into studio and just record and release and to sing was about as good as me writing the song as well, because the healing did come from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the sort of, when you are in that moment of writer's block, because I'm assuming you sort of, you went back into studio in recent months, and we all know what's been going on. As much as we try to shut us to the noise, it was infiltrating on social media. And I wonder, does in instances like that, the writer's block come more from the perspective of your own personal readiness to tackle and compartmentalize everything and process everything that's going on in real time? Or does it come from a perspective of also having been away from studio and away from music for a while, and so maybe not even knowing where to sort of begin with that first note or that first word? Or does it become a combination of factors?
Gosh, what a beautiful question. I'm not gonna lie. My life has always been, I've always been very good at separating, compartmentalizing, as you said. It doesn't matter what I go through in my personal life. I've always been the kind of person whose work does not get affected. I don't let my work get affected. I don't let myself perform less or perform differently in my career, because I am personally going through something heavy. So this was really that first time in my life where I had to sit with myself and try and figure out, what's going on, because it doesn't matter how long a period I am out of studio for. I've never had the issues of writer's block. But for me this time, it was just that deep. Ngesintu, you would say, nekilimetse, bengilimele. emoyeni, because music is that. Music is so spiritual. Creativity is the closest thing to God. And when your spirit is injured in such a deep way, you should expect to not be able to just get up and be completely functional like you used to be. And I think it was a good process for me to have to go through. Maybe I needed this writer's block because going through it meant that I had to face the problem head on and deal with it. I was no longer, I no longer had the luxury of just healing through it by letting it go through song. I had to literally face it head on and deal with it so that I could be right here where I am now.
Yeah. Wonderful stuff. They tell me, so as we wrap the show up, I often ask my guest, when did you know that you were famous? But I'll give you 2 seconds to just think on that as we hit the liner from our previous conversations. When did you know you were famous?
You are listening to The Full Circle.
When did you know you were famous?
When I was on Gem Early. I was on Gem Early as a contestant. After that episode aired, I couldn't walk in the streets, please. And I was still living in Soweto at that time. I was so famous.
Nice times.
For you, madam?
I think, definitely Soul Buddies was a shock to my system. It was the first TV gig, but it was such a big show.
Salamina and Tsepo, a.k.a. Hausa Musese.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
As we wrap up our conversation with Latoya, it's your turn. When did you know you were famous?
Okay. So, before I even was a working child, I knew I'm famous. Ask me why.
Why?
Because by virtue of being Blondie McKenna's daughter and looking like him, we could not go anywhere without people going, "Wana Blondie, Eki Wana Blondie." That was the beginning of it for me. But really, really, from my own sweat and my own work, my own hands, I realized at my first gig, my first presenting gig at the age of 9 on Rainbow Starship, which then became Yo TV. And then I realized I'm famous when I got Isidingo. And then Generations made me realize, okay, wait a minute. I'm even more famous than I thought I was. And then, yes, recent media activity has made me realize that I'm shutting things down, honey. Like, we are here. Now I'm within.
Now you are within.
Now I'm within. What's that?
She's deep Pagati inside.
Bona Pagati inside.
Icon. Latoya McKenna, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And congratulations on this new record. Abantu is out now.
Yes.
And of course, that video is dropping soon. We can download it at all our music platforms, wherever you go to buy music. That's where you can find the single Abantu. It's gone 2:30. Onde Lambana is standing by with the headline news. And then on the other side of that, we come back with Kids Corner before we come back to wrap up the conversations.
Thank you, Bridget. In your news headlines, Johannesburg City Power says 99% of its vending customers in affluent areas have had their meters recoded. This as prepaid meter customers scramble to ensure the recoding of their meters by the Sunday deadline. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has revealed that 70% of the country's municipalities in arrears with pension fund contributions are in the Free State. And the U.S. Special Envoy for Sudan, Tom Perriello, has called for more pressure to bring the warring countries to the negotiating table. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
and welcome to Nali Bali. Being unique is all about being different. What we think, what we do, and what we desire is not the same for everyone. To be unique is the only one of its kind. Unlike anything else, everyone is special in their own way, and that's your magic. Every individual has their own perspective, largely fueled by the way they have experienced and navigated the world. Nobody's going to make the same choices that you make. Every good and bad experience, every moment of strength and weakness, every triumph and failure, every bit of knowledge and wisdom you acquire is the willingness to accept, learn, and think outside the box. Being unique is a wonderful feeling, especially in a world where many people struggle to be themselves. The greatest filter you can ever use is to express your own personality by being yourself. If you want to experience your true purpose in life, step outside the head and present yourself differently to the world. It would raise your self-esteem, and facing the world would be much easier. Undoubtedly, you'll leave an everlasting impression on others just by being yourself. Let's listen to today's story called Nandi's Magic, written by Melody Ngomane. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and dance! A long time ago, in a small village far away in the mountains, there lived Nandi and her grandmother. Everyone in the village loved Nandi. She had a bright smile and was always happy. She joked with everyone and helped the old people carry their heavy bags. She also made cups of lovely hot tea for her grandmother. But most of the time, Nandi sat on a traditional mat in front of her grandmother, who would read wonderful magical stories to Nandi. The books were about magic. They told stories about fairies who had gold dust on their wings and about tiny magical animals and children. As Nandi listened to these wonderful magical stories, she began to wonder if she had her own magic.
Grandmother, why don't I have magic like the children and fairies in the stories?
She would ask. Her grandmother would say, "You do have magic, my grandchild. Everything about you is magic." But Nandi wanted to have wings sprinkled with gold dust, or a sweet voice that healed people when she sang, or maybe to be able to talk to animals. Soon, Nandi was spending so much time trying to find her own magic that she no longer helped people or made people laugh. But no matter how hard she tried, nothing happened.
Ugh! I'll never have my own magic.
Nandi would cry. Grandmother would just hug her and tell her again, "You are magic, Nandi." Grandmother would make her a chocolate cake to make her feel better. Nandi's face would brighten up each time she had chocolate cake. But soon, Grandmother realized that Nandi was so troubled about not having her own magic that even chocolate cake wouldn't bring back her bright smile. Nandi decided that she had to find her magic, and so early one morning, while everyone was still asleep, Nandi packed a little backpack and went on a journey to the forbidden woods. Meanwhile, her grandmother woke up and saw that Nandi had gone. She searched the entire village looking for her, and when she noticed that one of her storybooks was missing, she knew Nandi had gone to the forbidden woods to find her own magic. All the strongest men in the village got together and started looking for her in the forbidden woods. In the dark, scary woods, Nandi kept searching for her magic until she came across a small heart just like the one in her grandmother's book. It was a monster's heart.
Maybe this could be where my magic is hidden,
she thought to herself. She knocked at the door. A huge, terrible monster opened the door. It showed its sharp yellow teeth getting ready to eat Nandi.
Oh, delicious. Just what I feel like eating for lunch.
It growled. Nandi was terrified. She started running away, but the huge monster chased after her. She screamed for help, and just as the monster got close that she felt its hot, smelly breath on her legs, a group of strong villagers showed up and chased the monster away. Nandi was relieved and grateful to see them. They took her home to her grandmother. "Ha, Anandi, you shouldn't have gone to the forbidden woods. The monster could have eaten you," her grandmother said. Nandi felt very sorry about what she had done.
I'm so sorry that I gave everyone such a fright. All I wanted was to find my own magic.
Finally, Nandi accepted that she had no special magic like the people in her grandmother's storybooks. Soon, she was back to her old happy self, making people laugh and helping the old people carry their heavy bags. All the villagers told her how happy they were to see her bright smile and hear her funny stories again. Her grandmother said, "I really missed you and your cups of lovely hot tea, and how you make everyone happy." And it was in these little moments that Nandi realized how magical she was.
Yes! I really do have my own kind of magic. I've had it all this time. I can make people laugh, and I try to help the old people however I can. People say my smile warms up their hearts.
Nandi smiled brightly at her grandmother.
You were right, grandmother. I really do have my own kind of magic. It was in me all this time.
And so we come to the end of another Nalibali story time. Today's story was called Nandi's Magic, written by Melody Ngomane. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit Nalibali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages, as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nalibali Reading for Enjoyment supplements with great children's stories and activities available in newspapers. Nalibali, it starts with a story.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. With crime boss the Dean behind bars, the outlaws are moving on with their lives until one of their own returns with a deadly secret, hurling them back into mortal danger. Outlaws Season 3, Fridays at 9 p.m. Then, 3 fishing fanatics embark on the ultimate extreme fishing trip to attempt to catch some of the most elusive, hard-to-catch fish across the globe. Fishing Impossible, Fridays at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Ever tried to paint a wall with only a brush? Or hung a picture on just a nail and a prayer? The contestants on My Design Rules will be the first to tell you good design starts with the right tools. Tune in to My Design Rules every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC3 and stand a chance to win a weekend away in the winning apartment. From beginner projects to expert builds, Buco has the tools and materials you need to get the job done. Ready to kickstart your next DIY project? Begin with Buco.
Buco.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Sejahile ukuthi siphinde thina sibonane Ayenze ngiphile ngaphandle kokuthola uthando kuwe Hliziyo iswele ukuxhuma baby zifike kuwe sengiphoste empilweni yami wena uyikho konke ngiyazifela
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Azana coming through with Your Love right then. We're anticipating chatting to her, but we're having connection problems. And so we'll get into our next conversation. Patrick Rulore joining us now. And Patrick is a contemporary South African artist whose work delves into the exploration of light, shadow, and the complexities of modern life. Good afternoon to you, Patrick. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you very much for taking the call. Let's get to know you a little bit. So, post-matric in 2013, you then began your artistic practice. And at the time, you started by producing commissioned portraits.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's how my career actually started after matriculating. Just being passionate about art because I've been doing it for a very long time, but not knowing that it will be so serious as it is right now.
Yeah.
So it was just, the zeal and the passion behind drawing and just drawing cartoons, celebrities and all that. Not knowing that today I'll be a full-time artist. So I've been practicing it for a very long time.
Yeah, and in fact, you went on to actually study and complete a national diploma in fine arts from Tshwane University. You also participated in the Cecil New Signatures competition, which is quite the accolade for young artists to be a part of. Let's reflect back on just some of the journey thus far, sort of finding your voice and finding your comfortability in your medium.
Oh, yeah, sure. Regarding my medium, I was introduced to oil by this old man in my village. He was a street artist at the time, till today. So, because I've been only exposed to pencil and paper, crayons, ordinary mediums for art. But ever since I met that, young old man, then he introduced me to oil. Then he became my art teacher, teaching me how to paint, and also selling my work right across the street. So that is how I was exposed to my medium. Then after 2 or 3 years of practicing and commissioning from my community, I just felt to go and study at TUT at campus. That's when I acquired my diploma. Then that's when I also get exposed to 2 national competitions. It's one of them being Cecil, which I, for some time been, participating but not really winning.
Yeah.
So throughout the years of me being top 100, then 2019 I won, the competition. Like I was the overall winner, and then that's when, the spotlight and the breakthrough, the confirmation, and just solidified everything. Yeah.
Talk to us a bit about, I mentioned earlier on that your work delves into the exploration of light, shadow, and the complexities of modern life. What does that mean to those of us who who don't speak artistic jargon? Expand on us a little bit, or expand for us a little bit around what exactly that entails.
Well, as an artist, I'm fascinated by, the play of light, shadows, and darkness. Theoretically, it is known as chiaroscuro and tenebrism techniques. And it's mostly familiar in the Baroque movement period. And one of the key artists who contributed to that style were Caravaggio, Johannes Vermeer. So my inspiration comes from that. Learning from those, master painters. However, fast forwarding to our time, I was also captured by the load shedding. It just happened, nationwide, and seeing how people interact between when there's power and when there's not. That has also fascinated me and given me some ideas on how to share this with the world, as much as I've realized that we are so much captured by technology, right? And the light as well. So, and our behavior, just revolve around those, how we treat each other, the conversations that we have and all that. So, me realizing that electricity, power, technological devices have navigated us and shaped how we see the world and how we treat each other. Then I was like, let me, share this with the world, and maybe something will come up, and that's the beginning of my triumph as an artist. And yeah, I just submitted one painting to Sasso Music Matches, and so fortunately that is the winning piece, the winning idea.
Yeah.
And from there, it has, was able to create about 4 solo exhibitions so far. Regarding the light, the shadow, and social life, people congregating around the fire, people kids as well, just surrounded one cell phone device, playing maybe a game. Those type of scenarios really inspired me and has become my focus.
Yeah.
And
I want to find out a little bit, Patrick, before we run out of time, the exhibition Rebooting the Gaze, because just looking at the catalog of work here, and it moves from sort of Guai Mai Mai reimagined to a portraiture of a shocked gentleman mugging in the city, to seen and unseen spaces, which is an interesting take of sort of the feminine gaze. And so it moves, even the fall of a man in the 21st century. And there's some elements of your work that are also quite reminiscent, at least to my amateur eye, to Johannes Pokela, who is probably one of the lesser known but more respected South African portrait artists to come out of the country. Talk to me about Rebooting the Gaze.
All right. Oh, thank you so much about that. Yeah, well, first of all, Johannes Pokela inspires me a lot. It's one of the South African artists that I look up to, and also George Pember as well.
Yes, very George Pemberish as well.
Yes, exactly. So, with Rebooting the Gaze, I drew inspiration from the Eastern and Western master copies, mainly paintings. And with that, it primarily talks about, shifting, the focus from the ordinary people who've been put on the spotlight, like white people or European people, for that sake. And also seeing how, the focus of how white people have been, having regarding the human experience and the human history, something like that. So me, I was trying to just remove the focus and put it on the black figuration, because there's been a lot of misrepresentation of black figures in the past, and most of black people have been painted either being slaves or nothing. So me having to put black people in those significant moments was like to making a reflection of the black people. I painted myself and painted people that I know, that I live with, And yeah, it's more like just putting myself in those significant captured scenarios that has served humanity for quite some time in the history of humanity.
Yeah. And I sort of love that sort of reimagining and placing black people within those historical archives. But I think the other thing that also jumps, when you talk about sort of a George Pemba, for instance, being a source of inspiration for you as a young artist, it's also how Pemba managed to, at the height of blackness being suppressed, at the height of black culture being eroded, one of the things he consciously moved in awakening of as an artist was reflecting what, I read somewhere where they said he reflected the humdrumness of the black existence by capturing black people in just their daily being of human, washing clothes, walking the streets, sitting on the porch, just being humans in blackness. And some of your work almost speaks to exactly that, the capturing the humdrum mundaneness of human existence.
Very true. I totally agree with that, because as we have discussed, every time when an African is being portrayed, is either they are portrayed around poverty, suffering, so I think it is high time for us, black Africans and actually Africans to make a reflection and self-identity. That is actually what I'm focusing on right now. We have to tell people who we are instead of them telling who we are.
Absolutely.
We are politically, spiritually, religiously. So this is what has been, captivating my mind, ever since I've, started this body of work.
For anybody that has a keen interest, Patrick, to just explore your work and get a sense of your narrative, I know that you've got an exhibition that's running until the 28th of September. Give us some details around that.
Okay, actually it is closing on 28th of November. Yes, it's not September. Yeah, September has passed.
No, sorry, did I say September? I meant November.
Yeah. So I think it's just 1 week. So it was open 7th of November at the Eclectica Contemporary Gallery in Cape Town. And whoever wants to get in contact with me, all social media platforms, I'm available.
Awesome. So it's on until the 28th of November at Eclectica, and that's a gallery space in Cape Town if you want to explore Rebooting the Gaze by Patrick Rulori. And he is on Instagram, social media, wherever you are, he is likely there as well, where you can go and really have a look at his work and his very unique eye. And who knows, perhaps you will go on and commission a personalized portrait for yourself and to adorn the walls of your home. Patrick, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Have an incredible weekend. That was artist Patrick Rulori. Rebooting the Gaze is the name of the exhibition. And if you find yourself in Cape Town between now and the 28th of November, Eclectica Contemporary Gallery is where you can go to explore his work. That wraps up the week on our end. November fast coming to a close. Last stretch of the month next week, and then we hit December, and then we can call it a wrap on 2024. But until then, I hope you have an enjoyable weekend with your loved ones and make lots of memories. And whatever you do, remember to be safe. And if you happen to be hitting the roads, just enjoying the journey and taking your time is just as fabulous as the end destination. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again on Monday.
The SAFM playwriting competition is back. After receiving hundreds of entries last year from South African writers of different ages and ethnic groups sharing their stories, now the time is yours. It's your story. You decide. SAFM invites all writers to explore the medium of sound, the theatre of the mind, and to create a 1-hour radio play in English. Get writing now and submit your play before the 3rd of February 2025 for a chance to win one of 3 large cash prizes. For more information, visit safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. We do not tolerate any kind of discrimination. Disability Awareness Month 2024. Only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.6 FM in Mangaung.
Top stories at 3, 99% of vending prepaid meters upgraded in Johannesburg, and a Nyobeni inquest postponed to March next year. For SFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. Johannesburg City Power says 99% of its vending customers in affluent areas have had their meters recoded. This as prepaid meter customers scramble to ensure the recoding of their meters by the Sunday deadline. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena says they started their recoding campaigns 2 years ago.
With the City of Johannesburg, I think we started this process almost 2 years ago. The help of our councillors within the city to basically drum up the message to the residents about the fact that the units, as we know them, will come to an end on the 24th of November 2024. And that